Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. It's Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 167 of Gridiron Grinder. And for tonight, we're going to kick things off with Name That Stadium. Then we're going to cover the news from this past week. After that, we're going to give you our Week 11 power rankings and game picks. And then we're going to close things off with our question of the week. And so, with all that being said, how's it going tonight, man?
It's going okay. It's a little under the weather, but what can you do? It's that
Nothing a
time of
little
year.
football talk can't solve.
True. Nothing a
At
little
least,
football talk can't solve.
yeah, like an hour and a half reprieve.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I don't cough my fucking lungs out like I have been last hour and a half.
Well, same here. And if it happens, it happens. We can always uh, edit the video to take a break if we have to. So, all right. Well, let's do some Name That Stadium, James. When you're ready, take that ball and run with it, dude.
Well, as you can see, I'm traveling around various stadiums that host NFL games. First person to guess, get it right, you'll get an extra special shout out. We'll bookmark it. You can play it for your friends. I didn't look, even though I gave it away fucking last week where I was. I didn't look.
Still no
I don't.
takers.
Yeah, I figured. I just kind of assumed that there's no takers because there never is. But last week I was at SoFi Stadium because I was going to the game at SoFi, the Lions at the Chargers. So I figured it made sense.
Yeah. And nobody wanted to hit us up on it. So, F all
Yeah,
them. We'll just keep
yeah,
the show
really.
going on.
I
I don't
fucking
know that
told
we're
them where I
supposed
was
to
going to be
say
and
F
everything.
all them, but I'm doing it. Until somebody does it, F all of them. It's just you and me, and we're doing our show.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so let's do our recap of the past week then, James. And so I'll start off with the big news. Joe Burrow, last night's game, he sprained his wrist on a touchdown throw to Joe Mixon fairly early in the game. It didn't look good. The news came out today that he tore a ligament in his hand and he's going to be out for the season. Huge blow for the Bengals, man.
Yeah, huge
And
blow. I
a another big
sucks.
blow, maybe not as to that magnitude, but significant. Mark Andrews, also in that game, got hurt. His was
Hmm.
on the first drive of the game, I believe. Uh, he had a serious ankle injury. Um, He fractured a bone. I don't remember which one, but he also suffered a ligament like damage. I don't know if it was a tear or like partial tear or whatever, but he is going to be out for the season as well as what it looks like. So last night was a
Yeah, that
rough
was
game,
pretty
man.
much. But that one I heard like basically after the game in Harbaugh's press conference, he said he was out for the year.
Oh yeah, yeah, they knew pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So let me back it up to Burrow because I heard that with Burrow there is some ongoing drama related to that because he was spotted either getting off the plane or getting off the bus or whatever with some kind of like a brace on his throwing arm on his around his hand and his wrist, but he supposedly was not on Cincinnati's injury report. I haven't confirmed that, but I heard that there was like some big gambler put like $100,000 on Cincinnati to win, and he's now like sue or claiming to sue the Bengals because Burrow wasn't on the injury report, even though he should have been. And so I don't know how all the gambling works and all that. I mean, it's kind of like you do it at your own risk and whatever else. But I suppose if you're putting big money down like that, you expect the team to be pretty forthright with their injury reports.
Yeah, so it's Dave Portnoy, who's
All right. Yeah. So it's
Barstool.
all over the Google. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, he's been back to cover his beef is Bengals did not disclose a potential hand wrist injury for Burrow. which
Which apparently the video was there. They showed it in the game of him like getting off the bus or the plane or whatever, and he had like some wrap or device around his wrist. But I didn't know if he was actually on the injury report or not until I heard this thing about this gambler, man. This guy saying he wasn't on the injury report. And if he wasn't, well, then why was his hand all wrapped like that? And then it's awfully coincidental that in the game he had a wrist injury.
yeah. Okay, so it was a compression sleeve on his hand, on his throwing hand for the plane ride. There's Cincinnati saying he wasn't injured. It was a compression sleeve, which is apparently fairly common um, to like to wear for them.
Okay.
According to Burrow, it's not uncommon for guys to wear compression sleeves on a plane because when you go up to that altitude, things can swell up.
Man, I don't know, dude. It looks awfully suspicious. But maybe it is common and maybe it is just coincidental. But I
Yeah.
don't know. Because didn't we just have a team get in trouble for not putting a guy on the injury report?
Atlanta, it was with I don't know, what's their rookie running back's name? Bijan
Oh,
Robinson,
Bijan Robinson, yeah.
where he like had the flu
Oh, yeah, that
and
was a weird one though, because he dressed for the game and
yeah,
but yeah, I guess I mean obviously Burrow dressed for the game and played. Oh man, I don't know. Interesting ball of wax right there.
yeah, I don't know. I think somebody's reading into something. Like there's a picture of Burrow with something on his hand, and like I looked at looking at the picture, it looks like it's nothing. It does look like a
A sleeve,
yeah. It's no, it's like it looks like a glove with um,
couple of the fingers
let me
cut
see if I
out.
could. Oh no,
No,
hold
I
on.
saw it in the game last night. They showed the video of it.
Yeah, it's a glove with the fingers cut out. Come on.
All right, so it's just a gambler that lost 100 grand or whatever, and he's
That
mad about it, wanting to get some of it back.
alleges he lost 100 grand, and he's filing it as a class action lawsuit.
For everybody else that put the same bet out. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah, garbage. Okay. Well, either way, hey, you roll the dice. You roll the dice. Uh, but
yeah.
all right. So in last night's game, let's talk about something positive. Lamar Jackson, he surpassed Randall Cobb to be number 4 in the NFL in career quarterback rushing yards.
Randall Cobb.
I'm sorry, Cunningham. Thank you. Not
I
Randall
was
Cobb.
like, you said
Wrong era, wrong position.
yeah. I was like, wait a minute. He couldn't have passed Randall Cobb.
Yeah, oh my gosh, Randall Cobb, that would have been insane. Yeah, I liked Randall Cobb, especially with his time with Aaron Rodgers, but no, he was not a quarterback. So,
Yeah,
yeah, Cunningham. Thank you, sir. All right, and now moving on. So, aside from last night, here's a few things from this past week. Deshaun Watson, he is going to be out for the season. Another big quarterback related injury. So, last couple weeks, he had this lingering shoulder problem, whatever the hell was going on. He's decided to have surgery on the shoulder. He's going to be out for the year. The team, strangely, is working out Joe Flacco, which, I mean, come on, Joe Flacco's done by now. But I also
shit.
heard
Joe Flacco was done like 20 years ago.
he was
Not
done
20
a
years
few
ago.
years back at least. But I also heard Dorian Thompson Robinson is going to start at least this weekend, but they're clearly looking to bring in at least some kind of veteran presence. But I gotta believe that unless they can, I mean, well, I mean, we're past the trade deadline, so they can't even go out and get a guy like Brissett or Bridgewater or any of those guys. I don't know, man. I'm hard pressed to believe that their playoff hopes could still be alive after this.
I don't think they had playoff hopes before this,
Well,
so
it's just because of how great their defense was, James.
yeah, how great their defense was, but their offense was kind of
Yeah, Chubb was out. You know, they had issues. Maybe
yeah,
DTR will show what he did in preseason and surprise us.
maybe, but he's not playing against third string, so
No, I know. It's going to be tough, but give him a couple weeks. Who knows? All right. So, in other injury news, we got Leighton Vander Esch, the Dallas Cowboys linebacker. He is also going to be out for the season. A lot of big time injuries this past week. His is related to a neck injury. There's concern that it could be career ending for him. And I say that some people are probably already aware of this because he's had neck
mhm,
issues going back to his days in college. And so
yeah.
that's kind of why he's like one of the only linebackers that would wear that pad behind his helmet. And so hopefully the dude's okay and he recovers. And whether he plays or not again, we want him to be okay with his neck because that's obviously pretty serious. So,
Yeah, no, the football it's a game. If he's putting his life in jeopardy or his well-being in jeopardy with playing again and he's advised not to, I think at that point it's just stupid.
yeah, and I don't know if he's being advised or not, but we'll find out probably sometime before next year's regular season. So,
True. Hopefully,
all right.
hopefully for Dallas before the draft so they can figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, they should just be adding depth at linebacker anyhow, to be honest,
True.
because, they put Parsons kind of as like an edge guy. They need help at linebacker anyhow. But, all right, so in some other news, we've got some signings. Jason Pierre-Paul, former, where the heck was he? The Giants. He was with the Bucks. Did he have a year or two with Baltimore? And now he's signing with New Orleans. And so he's a
I
bit of
don't
a
think it was
journeyman at this
Baltimore.
point in his career. No, maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody else in Baltimore. Maybe he was stayed in Tampa Bay, but um, either way, he was a couple time Pro Bowler, like a 2, 3 time Pro Bowler or
Nope, you're
whatever.
you're right on. Last year he played in Baltimore.
Okay, well, so I'm not crazy. It was ringing a bell in my head. Okay.
Yeah, I for some reason I was thinking it was in the NFC. When you said Baltimore, it didn't sound right, but I guess it was. Him and
Yeah.
his. Never mind. I'm not going to finish that joke.
Okay. Oh. Were you going to talk about the firecrackers?
Yeah, and how
Oh boy.
do,
Oh
do
boy.
you know this? Like didn't like Schefter like climb in through like the window of his hospital room to get
Oh
pictures of it or
shit.
some shit like that?
I don't remember that, but maybe.
Like
uh,
it was like some like super dedicated shit that Shefty did to
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 break
get
that
a
news.
yeah.
Fucking Schefter. Well, yeah, so Pierre Paul, he signed with the Saints. It looks like they're putting him on the practice squad to start. Um, kind of like who the hell did that? Philly did that with Julio Jones, but he ended up
Mhm.
getting elevated to the active roster pretty quick. Pierre Paul, maybe the same kind of thing. He had some juice left in him. He can be a rotational guy at this stage of his career. And I see you looking it
Okay,
up.
so well, no, I was looking up. So it was this article. Jason Pierre-Paul, ESPN reached a settlement after Adam Schefter shared medical info.
Okay.
Uh, oh shit, he like shared a picture. Wow.
Of the
He
digits.
no, he shared a picture of his medical chart.
Ooh,
I knew it was something with a picture in the hospital, but I didn't know what it was.
okay. Yeah, something about HIPAA coming into play.
No, because HIPAA doesn't only apply to medical professionals. It does not apply to the media.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so whatever. I knew there was something with it. This was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago that 7 years ago that the fucking injury happened.
Yeah,
8 years ago.
pretty
It was like,
impressive. He was able to come back and still be a fairly high performer for a while.
mm-hmm,
You know.
exactly.
All right. So then, in some of the other signings we've got this past week, Anthony Barr, the former Minnesota Viking who left and went on to Dallas for a little while. He is now back with Minnesota. He's there to maybe fill the void left by the Jordan Hicks injury. He's pretty long in the tooth, but they needed help, and he'll at least be depth. He's a savvy kind of veteran, so I'm sure he'll be fine there.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the last one is well, actually, I guess I got a couple more. The last one that's a signing was Carson Wentz, uh, another journeyman at this point, Philly, Indy, Washington. He has now signed with the Rams, but he is going to be backing up Stafford because the expectation is Stafford will return and play this weekend.
Why was I thinking there was another team for Wentz?
The Jets were in on him too, and the Jets opted to not sign him.
Oh, that might be it. Like for some reason I thought there was a team,
Yeah, I
but
think the Jets worked him out.
that might have been what I'm remembering.
Yeah. And so then this one's not a signing, but cornerback Jack Jones, formerly of the New England Patriots, he was recently released. Kind of showed some promise a year ago, and then things sort of just fell off a cliff for him this year. Patriots released him. The Raiders went out and claimed him like almost right after. And so he is now with the Raiders. And then coaching related, the Buffalo Bills have fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, after last week's loss to Denver. I see you shaking your head, James. I would like to save some of this
Yeah.
for a question of the week. And so,
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna shake my head and we can move on.
yeah, yeah. And then the last thing I have, I'm sure there's more that I missed, but the last thing I saw was Zay Jones, the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receiver. He was arrested on misdemeanor domestic battery charges. I don't have any of the details. I really don't even want to get the details. I'm sick of seeing this kind of crap. I know
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas was involved in something similar last week, and I just want to try to keep things a little more positive. We got to say certain things here and there, but I'm gonna flush it out if I can, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on it because I don't know anything on what happened. It's just, it's like every other fucking week there's another NFL
Yeah.
player with, and it's not that bad, but it feels like it's that bad. Um, apparently the one thing in the news you missed is apparently the Eagles waived a former first round pick
Who? Jalen
yesterday.
Rager?
No.
Or they already got rid of him? Or I don't even know
Oh,
who.
they released Bernard Williams on Thursday, who last played in 1994, but apparently he was still.
Uh, okay, yeah, because that name doesn't even ring a bell to me.
Oh, okay. I was saying it as a joke, but now it makes sense. So apparently, when he got suspended for what did he get? He was suspended for marijuana possession
Okay.
in 6 games in '95, and then he was ended up being suspended for all of the '95 season. So the Eagles retained the rights to him for 30 years before, like, just like they realized, oh
Just
shit,
cause?
we still have the rights for him, and and like,
We better
we
cut
probably should
ties.
just cut ties.
I mean, they're almost at the 30-year mark, right? So at this point, you just ride it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I I tried to lighten the mood after the
Yeah.
last story a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's like the Office Space. There was like some glitch in accounting, so we just fixed the glitch.
Yeah, no, he like I mean it makes sense because like when you get suspended, if you don't come back, like, and you're under contract and you don't play and you don't come back, your contract stops until like for instance, if a player were to sit out a year, like Deshaun Watson, like his contract didn't continue to go. The um or not Deshaun Watson, shit. I don't know. I lost track.
All
I'm
right.
sick. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah. Yeah. If you walk away for a year,
Yeah, kind of like Le'Veon Bell, but if Le'Veon Bell was still under, or still, or like if a player gets a franchise tag, like the talk of Saquon was going to sit out the year.
yeah.
So technically, when Le'Veon Bell too, technically when Le'Veon Bell came back after sitting out the year, the Steelers still had the rights to him because they franchise tagged him. So they
Yeah.
retained the rights to him for a year or until he decides, well, I'm going to sign the franchise tag.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like you're basically you're kind of blocking the player. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
you either play for us because we can use the franchise tag, or you don't play at all. And if you want to sit out a year, that's fine. But when you come back, we still gotta figure out what we're doing between you and I before anything else happens.
Hmm. Exactly.
Okay. Anything else news-wise, James?
Nothing that I'm seeing or recalling
Okay.
from media this week. Like I'm glancing to see if there's anything, like players coming back. Like Herbert's coming back to the Bears this week, and Tannehill's coming back to the Titans, but he's going to be the backup.
Yeah, yeah. Rightfully so. It's time for Levis.
Yeah, but outside of that, that's about it.
All right, well, let's segue into our power rankings, man. Why don't you
Well,
give
we
me your
got
one through
we got
five?
surprise games.
I always forget the frickin' surprise games, James. Holy crap. All right, yeah, give me your
And
surprise games.
it's less of surprise games, more of I want to highlight fucking CJ Stroud. Like,
Okay,
dude
so
is
yeah,
fucking
Houston over
impressive.
Cincinnati was
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
exactly. Houston over Cincinnati, but it was just literally CJ Stroud is playing his fucking ass off this year, and
yeah,
like they hit a fucking home run with him, and it was like you remember the talk in the draft, like they were gonna pass on him because they
yeah,
weren't
about his
sold on
agent
him.
and stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, and like I mean, good for them for not fucking passing on them, but
Yeah, he looks
Jesus
legit.
Christ.
And I've heard, well, I've seen articles online about people trying to make the case that he should be in the MVP conversation. And, I'll tell you what, um, this is one of those kind of unique years where hypothetically he could be in the MVP conversation because there is not a like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or one of those like prominent veteran guys that's like lighting it up that would just normally
Mhm.
get it. And so it's kind of like up for grabs for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, and like if you boil it down, like that's two like last minute drives or whatever, and like back to back last minute drives or game winning drives. Thank you. Sorry for forgetting my English words.
You're fine,
Um,
dude. You're fine.
yeah, two late drives to win the games back to back weeks. I forget who they played the week before. Why am I drawing a blank on that? Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I was
That
gonna
was the
say, was
Tampa
it
Bay
Tampa
game.
Bay the one before?
Hmm. So I mean, but also like with it, like the thing is apparently no quarterback that's gone into the NFL from Ohio State has won or has gone to the Pro Bowl, which they give Pro Bowl tickets to everybody. So and they invite everybody to the Pro
Yeah,
Bowl.
now, yeah. Usually
And
backups now, right? So
yeah, usually like who wasn't
Huntley,
fucking Tyler Huntley, wasn't Jordan Love a Pro Bowler last year?
maybe I don't even remember, but yeah, it's stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it was. Let me. I wanted to look that up because
Yeah, I remember Huntley, but it's just garbage how that works now, man. It bothers me.
yeah. So it
They
was.
need to change it. They need to like bring some kind of like I don't know. I don't know. If the backups are going to be there, so be it. But they do not get to be awarded as a Pro Bowl designation. Like just because you're an alternate doesn't mean that, oh, you were a five-time fucking Pro Bowler when you retired because you got there as an alternate. No,
Yeah. So it was.
alternate should be a different tier of status.
I guess it was only Huntley that was
The
last
questionable.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because it was Tua, Huntley, Lawrence, and Carr
Okay. Well,
that
Carr, I
were
don't
the
know. Carr did okay,
alternates.
right? But
Yeah. Well, no, Carr was the questionable one because he didn't play for like he only played like 5 games or 6 games.
okay.
Didn't
All right.
didn't like Oakland tell him to, like go home?
Oh, towards the end of the year, but I thought he played most of the year other than the last couple games. But maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
I want to say he missed like 7. He
He was
played in
hurt.
10, yeah, 10 game. No, he played in 15. Sorry, I saw 10 at the bottom, but then that's this year's games for Nolan's.
Gotcha.
So I guess he played in 15. So I guess it was late in the year.
All right. Well, so James, other
Whatever.
surprise game other than, Houston over Cincinnati, it's got to be Denver over Buffalo, right?
You know, I wouldn't necessarily 100% list that as a surprise. Like I I remember talking last week, and I meant to look back at it, but I thought my model had it as like a super fucking close game.
Maybe.
No, I guess it didn't. I guess it didn't, but
Okay.
I thought it did. So yeah, okay. I'll give you that as a surprise game. But then again, it's also like we talked about it. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Is a little bit more later.
Buffalo playing down and yeah.
Buffalo plays down, or more importantly, Josh Allen plays down to his
Yeah.
competition,
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I mean, hey,
which
we'll talk about it maybe in the power rankings, but I mentioned last week, I think, or maybe it was the week before, that some of these Denver players are starting to, vocalize their support for Sean Payton and getting on
Mhm.
board with that system. And it seems like maybe the tide has turned for Denver, where it's starting to come together. But at the same time, it's really hard to say that with conviction after how shitty
Mm.
they started the year. So
Like beside the start of the year, besides the Dolphins game, the first week one against the Raiders, they lost 17-16.
that's the
Week two
Raiders.
against the Commanders, they
That's the
lost
Commanders.
35-33.
Okay, two shitty
So,
teams,
so
two close games.
right, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying with them like when you're also in a new system and figuring shit
Oh
out.
yeah, yeah. No, you're devil's advocating. I get it, man. It's all good.
I mean, the bad one was the
Other
the
than
bad
Miami.
no, the bad one was the Jets game where they lost 31-21
Yeah, to the Jets.
to the Jets. Exactly. But then
Uh,
then the following week they lost 19-8. How the fuck do you score 8 points? Well, they won
you
two,
go for a
but
two, or maybe
yeah,
you get a safety and a couple field goals. I don't even know, but I don't remember what happened.
to the Chiefs. So I mean, they've been in games and they've been figuring out. I'm still saying that Russell Wilson still looks like shit this year.
Yeah, yeah. Give them time with Sean Payton, but yeah, Russell Wilson is still a problem. They're still very underwhelming on offense, but it does look like their defense is getting better, and maybe some guys are starting to rally, and so who knows? But I still thought it was a surprise them beating Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you as being a surprise. It's just it's not as much of a surprise considering like they just
Yeah.
beat the Chiefs and the Chiefs are better than Buffalo and
But you
Josh
told
Allen
me that
also.
Mahomes had the flu and whatever
Yeah,
was going on
exact
there, and
exact.
so yeah,
I know, and but also on top of that, Josh Allen how he plays. I'm not saying it's not a
yeah.
surprise. I'm saying it's kind of tempered a little bit with those facts. I think more of a surprise would be fucking whatchamacallit. Um
I don't know.
never
Those were the only ones I had.
never mind. It's no, it's not a surprise. I for some reason I watched no football this past Sunday, like because I was going to the game and that kind of like we
So
had to drop the girls
you
off and
watched football, but
yeah,
live.
exactly. So I didn't see much of the um games during
Other
the day on
games,
Sunday.
yes.
So like I'm thinking about it and then like with the Watson injury stuff and I was thinking, well, he was out, but then he wasn't out, so then it's not as much a surprise at the win. Like I was gonna say Cleveland beating Baltimore with Watson out would be a surprise if that happened, but it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
No, I agree. That could have been a surprise. And I thought with the way Baltimore had been playing, they should have won that game,
Hmm.
but it's still, yeah, Watson played and the Cleveland defense was good, even though it was a higher scoring game. Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, but
All right.
that's about it.
Are you ready now for the power rankings, James?
I am.
Okay. Give me your 1 through 5, buddy.
All right. I think this is the second week in a row. There's no changes in my 1 through 5.
Oh, you're holding tight. Okay.
Yeah. I still have Baltimore at number 1, Detroit at 2, Philly at 3, Dallas at 4, Kansas City at 5. Philly and Kansas City, they were on byes. They weren't going to move. Dallas beat beat the Giants. They smoked the Giants. If I were to move Dallas, I would have had to have moved Philly because I think the Cincinnati or the Cleveland game was kind of a blip on the radar for Baltimore, and I was giving them the benefit of the doubt that it was a division game, it was a
Sure.
close game. They put up 31 points against one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league. So I'm not. I think it was kind of like a blip in the radar more than like they lost, so I should smoke them. Plus, I still have like that beatdown of Detroit in the back of my mind, and I have Detroit at number 2, and couldn't really I
Move
couldn't
them after they beat
justify.
the Chargers.
Well, no, I couldn't justify moving Detroit behind or ahead of Baltimore based
Oh,
on
yeah.
like it was
Yeah, for
two
sure.
weeks ago,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, when Detroit got their asses kicked by Baltimore.
Okay. So, yeah, not much has changed on your side. For me, I still got Philly at 1. Nothing happened there. 2, I made a big move up with San Francisco. I moved them up 7 spots. They waxed the Jaguars.
Hmm.
I think these guys are back coming off their bye, and they're back with a vengeance. And so I'm putting them right back up where I left them a few weeks ago before the wheels fell off. At 3, I've got Kansas City. They were on bye, so they didn't move. At 4, I got Baltimore. I dropped them down 2 spots, like we talked about. Not a great look losing to Cleveland, but yeah, blip on the radar, divisional game, tough defense. It is what it is. And then at 5, I've got Detroit. So into my top 5. Believe me, I would have liked to move them higher, but it's the best I can do for now. Like you said, I can't have them above Baltimore. And I feel at 4, I've got Baltimore appropriately placed. And so that's just how it shakes out on my side, man. Back to you at 6.
All right, there's a lot of movement in my 6 through 10. San Francisco, I moved them up 4 spots to 6. I mean, you said it all. They look back to what they were before they went on that little skid, and we kind of with that skid they kept dropping because they weren't playing like we expected them to. So I moved them up to 6. I wanted to I considered moving them up further on the board because I think when I started dropping them, or actually no, I took them back to where they were. No, they were 3. They had climbed all the way up to 3. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. They climbed all the way up to number 1 for me
Okay.
at one point, and then they started losing. So I was quicker to kill them than you were, and so I kind of readjusting that, but still hesitant on moving them into my top 5. Also, with 2 teams in my top 5 on bye, it's kind of difficult to do. Miami 7, they were on a bye, didn't move them. Seattle, I moved them up 1 spot to number 8, off the wind of Washington, but it was more of I dropped Cincinnati out from 8 than moving Seattle up. It just kind of how they felt because it's not that impressive. It was a close game against Washington. We just said Washington's a shitty team. It was closer than it should have been. Number 9, I have Cleveland. I moved them up 3 spots. I wanted to move them up more, but what it boiled down to was between Seattle and Cleveland, who I thought would win right now, and I wanted to give them the respect for the win over Baltimore, but also am hesitant on them because of the Watson injury.
Yeah.
And then at 10, I dropped Cincinnati all the way down to 10 from, and this is nice dropping down to 10. Teams right after this, I dropped other people down, and it just kind of ends up with them at 10. I probably, after last night's performance, probably will drop them down further.
Precipitously.
Especially with Burrow being out, because the team is a completely different team without Burrow.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be making a bigger move, I'm sure, next week with Cincinnati based on that injury. But yeah, for me at 6, James, I've got the Cowboys at 4. I mean, at 6, I've got the Cowboys. I moved them up 4. Holy cow. The hype train is starting to pick back up in the media with Dallas. And I'm trying to keep in mind that they beat up on the Giants. And so that on its own is not all that impressive. But sort of like the collective body of work of the last couple weeks is starting to show that they're starting to get back into a groove. And so I'm liking what I'm seeing. And then at 7, I've got the Dolphins on a bye, no game, no move. 8, I've got the Jaguars. I dropped them down 4. With them only putting up 3 against the 49ers and really at home being kind of like embarrassed like that, you probably could make the case to take them down lower. But I think San Francisco was on a mission, and so I thought that this was just an appropriate spot. Then at 9, I've got the Bengals, and so you kind of covered it, but I think you talked a little bit last week about maybe that was a trap game for them, knowing that they had Baltimore coming up. Either way, they lost. They had been really good in recent weeks, but yeah, now with that injury, man, everything is just like out the window. So, and then at 10, I've got the Chargers. So I missed the game, but it looked crazy freaking exciting. I heard that the Lions went for it on 4th down like over and over and over again.
Oh,
And
shit. It was like It was like on the same drive they went for it on fourth down. I want to say like three times.
Yeah, so
It was
I heard
crazy.
on one
Like
drive they went for fourth down 4 times.
yeah,
So
okay, it was four times, and like one of them, like they were on like the Chargers 10-yard line or something, and went for
just
it on fourth down.
fucking brass fucking balls by
Yeah,
Dan Campbell. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it worked and they scored the touchdown, but let me see. So they were going towards that end zone for me. So like if you're facing from like the video, because I was like behind the Chargers bench
Sure.
area, and they were going. So that was first or third quarter.
Super risky, but it paid
Yeah.
off.
So they went for there's one time they went for it on fourth down. They went for it on fourth down, fourth and goal. It was the second touchdown of the game. First touchdown, that was the first drive of the game. They went for it. They had fourth and 5 on the 28. They
Fourth and
had
five. Oh man. All right.
they had fourth and 1 on the 13 and fourth and goal. So they went for it three times on that drive.
Yeah. Fourth and five.
And
That's a
then
tough one to do.
yeah, I mean, they made it obviously, but the fourth and 5 on the Chargers 28-yard line.
Yeah. The odds are against you with that, but if you're that fucking crazy, and yeah, I'm glad that it worked out.
Well, fourth and 5, go for it on fourth and 5 with a fucking running play.
Well, I mean, hey, their offensive line is probably back to top five form, right? But still, that's ballsy as fuck, man.
Yeah. So I mean, it was that time. Then their second touchdown, they scored. It was fourth and goal. I want to say there was another.
Yeah, there was probably more. I heard it was a lot.
I want to say there was like two more, two more times. Like it was crazy how many times they went for it on fourth down.
And,
Like
and and look, I'm glad they did it because I was just talking last week about how the Chargers looked like they were starting to turn a new page and play up to their level of talent. And so now the Lions going on the road and having to play them, you kind of have to take some risks, man. And so
mhm.
it worked out. It was the right thing to do.
No, the crazy one was their the game winning drive or game ending drive that for the field goal. They had fourth and 2 on the Chargers 26-yard line. Tie game.
Yeah, so you
And
don't punt it and put it in your defense's
no,
hands.
no,
You say, I'm going
no, no,
for
no,
it.
no. On the Chargers 26. You don't kick the field goal and put it in your defensive
Oh,
hand.
gotcha. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
They went for it on fourth and 2 with a fucking pass play.
Yeah.
I mean, they got 6 yards, and like that was all she wrote because that was like the last real play of the game before the field goal because then it was knee, field goal.
Yeah.
At least he was smart and took a knee instead of running plays. But
Yeah. Hail Mary. No. All right, man. Give me your 11 through 15.
uh, all right, so number 11, I have Jacksonville. They didn't move. They lost to San Francisco. I thought the game was more about San Francisco than Jacksonville. Like you said, San Francisco was just like they were looking for blood in that game. They've been
They had to
playing
get
pretty
right.
shitty lately, and they had to get it right. Number 12, I have Buffalo. I dropped them out of my top 10. I dropped them actually 4 spots. The crazy thing for me is, and I don't know if you realize this, if the hypothetical, if the playoffs were to start today, Buffalo wouldn't be in the playoffs.
Good. It's on
They
them,
would
dude.
be,
They're playing like dog shit.
yeah, currently they're, I mean, they're behind. If the playoffs were to start today, neither Buffalo nor Cincinnati would be in the playoffs. It would be Kansas City, Baltimore, Jacksonville,
Yeah, I mean
Miami,
Cincinnati's toast now anyhow, but
yeah,
Buffalo,
Miami, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and the Texans.
yeah, Buffalo, they're doing it to themselves. So I don't feel bad at all.
Yeah, uh, but uh, and then 13 I have Pittsburgh. I didn't move them off the win over Green Bay because they beat Green Bay.
Sure.
14, I have Minnesota. This kind of boils down to who I thought would win in a matchup between Pittsburgh and Minnesota, and I thought it would be Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh got the nod ahead of them, and then I moved Houston up one spot to number 15 off the win in Cincinnati. I wanted to move them further, but the problem with
All right, James, we are rolling again. Like I was saying, you were talking about Houston. You wanted to move them higher, but the internet went
but
out.
yeah, but like right above them, you had a couple wins, and it didn't fit into my board this week at least for
Sure.
moving up. But I'm really fucking high on what I'm seeing from them.
Yeah, I agree, dude. They've got a coach with a lot of energy, a former player. In some ways, it's like reminiscent of what Dan Campbell's doing in Detroit. And you've just got guys rallying. They are way ahead of schedule at this point. I'm
Hmm.
loving it, dude. Um, yeah, and so, for me, I've got Seattle at 11. I moved them up one based on the win. Kenneth Walker looked amazing in that game. I know Pete Carroll was talking up Geno Smith after that game. Uh, you know, they're kind of like a slow and steady team, and they're sitting at 6-3, which is pretty solid. All right, 12, I've got Cleveland. I moved them up one on the win over Baltimore. I thought it was impressive, but now with Watson being out, I've got to take a week and see how they perform. They could have a big drop down the board next week because of that. At 13, I've got Pittsburgh. I moved them up one. It wasn't anything flashy getting their win this past week, but still, it was a win, so I gave them the one spot bump. 14, Houston, moved them up one. You covered it pretty well. 15, I've got Buffalo. I dropped them down four. I think it was garbage what they did with Dorsey, and we're going to talk more about that later. Back to you at 16, man.
All right, at 16, I have Tennessee. I dropped them one off the loss to Tampa Bay. Is with 16, like right in here, you had a bunch of teams that lost, and I wasn't gonna put the Raiders ahead of them, so they only got one. There was only one spot down for Tennessee, and then also the Chargers for off the loss to Detroit. New Orleans lost to Minnesota, but I had Minnesota ranked higher, and I think New Orleans is better, should be
Okay.
better on paper than Vegas, who I have at 19, and Indianapolis, who I have at 20, who both won but only beat shitty teams.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So they stayed the same.
Okay. Yeah, and it looks like Tennessee's probably our biggest discrepancy among the boards right now, but that's okay. I think I gave up on them. I gave up on them. I'll just leave it at that. But all right, so at 16, I've got the Vikings. I moved them up four. I'm coming around to this team, man. Whether it's Dobbs or whatever, it's 6-3. It's hard to put them down, and so I had no faith in their defense coming into this year. I thought they were going to be an only offense kind of team, and their defense has actually been fairly productive in recent weeks, which has helped with Dobbs coming in at the helm. At
Hmm.
17, I've got the Raiders. I moved them up one spot. Great to see Antonio Pierce get another win, even though it was an ugly one. It counts. 18, Buccaneers. I moved them up one. They beat Tennessee with a rookie quarterback. I still can't trust Baker, so I'm not gonna go bigger than the one move bump here for them. 19, I've got the Saints. I dropped them down two. Uh, you know, the Saints are like defining mediocre at this point, which is kind of a shame because they do have a lot of talent on that team on both sides of the ball. But
Hmm.
it is what it is. You know, they're sitting at 5-5 right now, and they're still, I guess, in it for something. And then at 20, I've got the Colts. I moved them up one. Ugly game over the Patriots, but they got the win. That's all that really matters. Back to you at 21, man.
So you say they're still in it for something. They're still, I believe they're still in it for the division because Tampa Bay is the fuck. They're still leading the division,
Which
which
is
is at
garbage.
5-5, which is a garbage division. So I'll give you that. All right. So 21, I have the Rams. They were on a bye. I'm not going to move them. Arizona at 22. This is probably my biggest bump up this week. I bumped
Okay.
them up 5 spots. They looked, they put to, I've been saying for weeks that if Arizona could put together a full game, they could do some damage. And they finally put together a full game against Atlanta, and they won. But it's more than that. It's Kyler looked he looked right. He looked like what we expect.
Yeah.
From I
He
saw the
didn't have to
highlights, but when
shake
I
off
saw
a
him the
ton of
highlights,
rust.
right, he didn't have to shake off the rust, but he looked more of what we expected
Yeah.
coming into the league than what we saw toward when we last saw him play.
Well,
So
the pressure's on him.
I like that. Yeah, exactly. The pressure is on him, but I moved them up 5 spots. Then I have Tampa Bay. I gave them a 1 spot bump. And this is Tampa Bay and Tennessee were on different
Yeah.
planes with like I with Tennessee. I hadn't killed them because I wanted to hold on and see what I saw with Levis. Um, and he looked really good. And then they had that hiccup, but I'm wondering but with Tampa Bay, I still don't trust Baker, and it's really going to be like a 1 spot bump each week if they win. Not going to get too high on them because I do not trust Baker whatsoever.
Yeah.
24, I have Atlanta. I dropped them down 2 spots. Part of the Arizona bump of 5 spots was because I had Arizona and Atlanta so close. Arizona just beat Atlanta, so therefore Arizona should be ahead of Atlanta. And at 25, I dropped the Jets down 2 spots. Silly me, I bumped them up to 23 for some reason. I think it was because I was high on something or I was drunk because
Well, Zach Wilson
the
had a couple
Jets.
games where he
Yeah,
was maybe giving us hope, and now he's back to normal Zach Wilson. So
yeah, exactly. It's not it's a they suck.
yeah, and I've got him at 21, and I dropped him five, and so it's like, it's time for them to fall off the cliff. And when Aaron Rodgers comes back, we'll see what happens. But even then, I'm not holding my breath. So 22, I've got the Broncos. I moved them up four. I think we covered it pretty well with them in that game over Buffalo. 23, I've got the Rams. They didn't play, so they didn't move. 24, I've got the Falcons. It sucks. They had a promising season coming into it, and it's slipped away pretty much big time at this point. 25, I've got the Titans. I dropped them down one. I'm not like, here's the thing with Tennessee. It's like, I don't want to bash them. All right. We knew that this was like the worst roster Vrabel's had to work with since he's been their head coach. And now they have a rookie quarterback. And so I'm not picking on him by any means. I still like Vrabel. And I'm inspired by what Levis is doing. I think he could potentially be their franchise quarterback, but you've got to ride out these ups and downs that a rookie quarterback's going to have and
Hmm.
see can he actually be that guy. And so um, it's just tough. They're in a transition period now, and so it is what it is. But and by the way, with Tampa Bay, um, man, I think our difference here is that maybe I'm still holding a lot of weight on Tampa Bay's defense because they're still a top five unit. It's just that I don't know. Maybe that's kind of why I was hanging on to the Jets for so long too. Like when you have like one side of the ball in the top five, it's kind of hard to totally smoke you. But at the same time, both these teams, they've got their offense like an anchor just dragging them down to the bottom, man.
Hmm.
All right, back to you at 26, homie.
All right, at 26, I have Denver, two-spot jump for beating Buffalo. I I kind of hit it. Like, yeah, they beat Kansas City. They just luck into these wins,
Yeah.
and they're playing better, but I'm still not sold on them. 27, I have the Commanders. I dropped them down one spot off the loss to Seattle. It was a close loss. I didn't want to drop them, but it kind of I really kind of had to. I couldn't I couldn't fit it right to keep them up at 26. 28, I have the Giants. I dropped them down three spots. The Giants they lost to Dallas, who's a top team, but they just look lost.
Yeah.
Um, 29, Chicago. They beat Carolina, which was one of my dumpster fire teams, but the team right ahead of them lost, so they got a one spot jump up. 30, New England. New England. The only reason New England didn't go to the dumpster fire is because my dumpster fire both lost.
Yeah.
But I think you texted me on when was that
Oh
game?
yeah. Oh yeah. On
Was it
Sunday,
Sunday night?
it was the
Uh,
Sunday morning Frankfurt game, right?
Yeah, Sunday morning Frankfurt game. You texted me that like Mac Jones has no pocket presence. They have
None.
no they they just like the team looks. I don't know how to describe this team
No,
to
no.
say to
I,
explain how bad they look.
I think the team, if you gave them a halfway decent quarterback, could be an okay team. But Mac Jones just destroyed any chance they had of staying in that game. Dude, he took so many critical sacks on
Hmm.
like third down or whatever it might be that a savvy veteran quarterback would never fucking take, man. I mean, it was so, he was so oblivious to what was going on around him. It was horrible,
Hmm.
dude.
Yeah, it was. I didn't see the game. I went to the Lions game,
Yeah.
so like I didn't have like I left here to go to the Lions game. I had to leave here at like 7:30 to drop the girls off and spend some time with them to
Yeah, I
get them.
meant to ask you, what was that drive like for you?
It wasn't that bad. It was like so. It was all said and done. It was like 2.5 hours, but
Okay.
it was. We wanted to get up there earlier because the wife has the knee injury. Weren't sure how long it was going to take her to walk in or where we were going exactly, and we had to drop the girls off at grandparents' house on the way. Well, not on the way. Yeah, grandparents' house on the way. So it's like an hour to the grandparents, and then like an hour and a half from their grandparents' house
Okay.
uh,
Did you do some
up. So it wasn't
tailgating?
that bad. No, we didn't. We got up there. We got up there at like I would say we parked. We didn't park in the SoFi lot. We parked in a separate like SoFi lot. Like
Sure.
everything said, like you have to have a reservation for the SoFi lot.
Oh yeah, I
So
get that. Yeah.
so we did some search on the way, and like one of the elementary school that's like across the street from SoFi Stadium, they open their parking lot and they charge whatever, and the proceeds go to the elementary school district. So we chose
Nice.
that lot. And then it was like like maybe like quarter ish, like quarter to a third mile like away um from SoFi, and then walk from there over, and then like we went like the wrong way around. So like
Oh,
where we came up, it was like we had it was gate 5 and our ticket said gate 9. So it was like 6 to 10 to or I'm sorry, 10 to 12 to the left. 1 to 4. Oh no, it was gate 1. So it said like what was it? 10 to 12 to the left and then 2 through 9 to the right. So my logic said, well, 6 to 10
yeah, go this way.
is like go this way because it's just the one right after
Yeah.
fucking
And it
10.
ended up
So
being quicker to go the other way.
it would have been quicker to go the other way because the difference was 10 was on this side of the stadium, 9 was on this side of the stadium. So it wasn't one gate. It was like it was like
I gotcha.
the
Yeah.
curve of the stadium. So,
And you
I mean,
didn't do that on purpose to piss your wife off.
no, I didn't do that on purpose to piss my wife off.
Uh,
It's just kind of what happened. And so it
Tori,
was,
you watch this video. This is proof, evidentiary proof.
yeah. So like what, if we would have, because we already had walked like 3 gates. So
Yeah.
when we walked in, like we were all the way
Dude,
on
I've
like
I've
this,
made that mistake at Ford Field a number of times, dude. It
we were,
happens, man.
we were walked across the parking lot. We were already on all the way on this side, already on this side of the stadium.
Yeah.
And we walked across the parking lot, walked, to the parking lot, and we had to go left or right because we couldn't go straight to the stadium, and we chose to go left. So we already had walked like 2 or 3 gates
Did you at
to the
least give
left.
her a piggyback ride?
No, I did not,
Oh man. Wow.
because I'm an
Okay.
asshole.
He's an asshole. All right, so back to the rankings here, James. At 26, I've got Washington. I dropped him down one. Crazy surprise to see Sam Howell's leading the league in passing yards, which, by the way, goes back to what we were talking about CJ Stroud being a legitimate MVP candidate. If Sam Howell is leading the league in passing yards, a
Hmm.
rookie can definitely win the MVP. At 22 or at 27, sorry, I've got the Patriots. They lost. They're a horrible team. I would have dropped them lower, but all the teams below them are like equally horrible. 28, I've got the Packers. I just kind of said it. 29, I've got the Cardinals. I moved them up 3 spots. I got them out of the dumpster fire. Kyler's back. They got a win. That was great. The board kind of maybe helped them get up 3 spots where I might have only done maybe two. But I do believe, like you're saying, the potential is there now for this team to keep rising. And so
Hmm.
let's give it another week and see how it goes. And then at 30, I've got the Bears. I moved them up 1 spot. Wow, you got a win over Carolina. Whoop de freaking do. It doesn't mean much to me. These are two bottom feeder teams, but still, I gave them a 1 spot bump. Back to you for your dumpster fire, my friend.
All right, my dumpster fire, same dumpster fire I had as last week. I have Carolina at 31. Um, Green Bay lost. Green Bay's always going to lose. Green Bay's a shitty team. Not always going to lose, but Green Bay's a shitty team. I think they're worse than Carolina, even though Green Bay has more wins. At 32, I have Green Bay because they just fucking blow.
Enough said. Enough said. And by the way, the only reason I kept Green Bay higher up is because they did beat Chicago. And I guess aside from that, at some point, I probably either got to get them closer together on my board or see where it goes. But either way, my dumpster fire, James, is now the Giants at 31 and the Panthers at 32. The Giants, like you said, it's like they're lost at sea. Well, their quarterback's out. They have like nothing else going on that team. They sold at the trade deadline. In my opinion, they are an equally bad version of last year's success story, except it's obviously just the other way this year. And so they're just a huge disappointment now. And so it's unfortunate. I like their head coach. I think he hitched his wagon to the wrong quarterback, unfortunately. But we knew last year that that team had more holes and more things that had to be addressed. uh, they're just back to the drawing board, man. They got work to do, and hopefully Dable gets another year to kind of work on it. At 32, Carolina, hey, they've got one win. Okay, I can't really have them any higher than this, and so I like Frank Reich. I like his coaching staff, but man, I really thought they'd be at least at 3 or 4 wins by now, and so
Hmm.
this is a very disappointing season for Carolina, man.
I agree there. I just think Green Bay sucks.
That's fine. That is fine with me, man. All right. Well, hey, man, when you're ready, I guess why don't we move over and let's do our Week 11 game picks, dude.
All right. So last week I had a fucking pathetic ass week. You took a commanding lead. I got 5 right. You got 9. Brings my total to the season to 78. Yours to 91. That's good for 52% for me and 61% for you. Excuse me.
At least you're owning it, James.
I don't know what happened last week. I had one good pick, which was overriding my model with Detroit, and that's about it.
Do you think that you're taking maybe more chances than you should because you're down in the picks, or is it just not coming together in your model, man?
Last week, let me double check that. Well, okay. For the Carolina Chicago game, my model picked Chicago. I just forgot to change to Chicago from.
Sure. So you made one mistake, and that happens.
And
but
then
like
my model, like the rest of my model, I overrode the Pittsburgh pick and the Detroit pick. Everything else, I went 100% with my model, I think. I could Indy.
So you got about half and half. Half of it's the model, half of it's the overrides.
No, I was 100% on my overrides last week. I overrode two games and I got them both
right. So the model is the problem.
Yeah. So
okay. That's what I was trying to get down to.
Yeah. So there might be a problem. There's probably a problem with my model and figuring that out. I might have messed something up. I got to be more in tune to what's going on in my model and really dive into those ones are like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, and we got the big injuries this past week, which it's definitely going to change the model going forward because you got like 3 teams now involved with big moves.
Yeah. But so, I mean, your model's consistent.
It's been hanging in there, and honestly, I went back and I checked because I've got Baltimore higher in my power rankings, and so last night when Cincinnati lost, injury aside for Burrow, I thought, man, did I really pick Cincinnati? And I went back and checked my model, and my model had Cincinnati. And so I'm like, okay, because I thought that would have been an override, but I was like, I would remember if I did an override on that game. And so, sometimes the model works, sometimes it doesn't. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. And so first game we have this weekend is Dallas at Carolina. I mean, only real thing to talk about this game is, well, 2 things to talk about. One is I don't know why the fuck my model has this as such a close game. Dallas is going to beat the shit out of Carolina in this game. This week, if Bryce Young gets 1 sack, he will become only the 3rd quarterback since 1970 to get sacked 30 times or more in their first. Wait, no. Never mind. That stat is wrong because it's in their first 9 games. And they've played 9 games. So he's been sacked 29 times this season.
Okay.
He just fell short of hitting that mark of being the 3rd quarterback to be sacked more than 30 times or 30 or more times in his first 9 games his rookie season. The 2 quarterbacks were David Carr.
Oh yeah.
In 2002, not Derek Carr, David Carr.
Oh yeah, Houston.
And Joe Burrow in 2020.
So let me ask you, because I remember the David Carr rookie year very well. He had no offensive line. That was like the expansion team. Just big time issues. And then you could say with like Burrow, there were major offensive line issues as well, right? We talked about it. Why are you drafting a quarterback before you're building your offensive line? It was a risky move. With Bryce Young, Carolina coming into the year on paper looked like they had one of the not top five necessarily, but like one
Hmm.
of the top half offensive lines. And they've been scrutinized because of the pressure he's getting. How much of that do you think? And I've not seen a lot of the games, so I don't really know, but is some of that because he's a rookie and he's taking too much time to process and get the ball out, or is it really that the offensive line has been that bad?
See, and that's what I'm trying to figure that fact out because what I've seen, it feels like it's the offensive line that's the issue, and he's getting pressure too quick.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a problem, man.
But I mean, I haven't seen all the games, so I mean, it could be a combination of it. But most of what I've seen is that the offensive line is giving up pressure too quickly to. Um, but I mean, it could probably I would say it's is a combination versus one side or the other where part of the things are him, part of it's the
Yeah.
offensive line.
Yeah, maybe he's holding on to the ball a little bit too long because he is a rookie, and then maybe they're not really affording him a very good pocket anyhow, and so the combination's just bad. But I do worry because David Carr had a ton of potential,
Hmm.
and it was basically like he got blitzed and shell shocked and just never recovered in Houston. But he ended up going on to have a very long career as a backup because of his intelligence and his potential. But he just never progressed because of how he started out of the gate, man.
Yeah, it kind of it how he started out in the gate with Houston kind of ruined him. I agree
Yep.
100% there. But
All right, so you got Dallas. I got Dallas. I think everybody's got to have Dallas in this game, right?
probably. Although interestingly, the this is the second time this season that Dallas has been a double-digit favorite. The last time they were a double-digit favorite, they I'm sorry, double-digit favorite on the road. Last time the other time they were a double-digit favorite on the road was the game at Arizona where they lost.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think they've been very good on the road this year, but they should still win this game.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that's going to cause them to lose this game. I'm saying that it's interesting
It's a
that
headwind. Yeah.
the last time that they were the other time the season they were a double digit favorite on the road, they actually lost outright.
Gotcha. Okay.
Next
What's
up,
up
we
next,
have
homie?
the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Until further notice, I'm not going to pick the Browns to win.
Okay.
I've seen Dorian Thompson Robinson play in the regular season, and it did not look good. Um, so it's currently a one point spread, which Pittsburgh is 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 road games. But it's just I can't rightfully pick Dorian Thompson Robinson Dorian Thompson
Yeah.
Robinson to win or win against Pittsburgh when I've seen him play and it does not has not looked good.
No, I got you, man. I'm taking Pittsburgh as well, and I do. It's like in the back of my mind, a part of me says, give TTR some time and let's see what he can do. But he is still very fresh, very green. Um, if he had been starting every game all year, it'd be different. But he's like really coming in. This is like his second start as a rookie.
Hmm.
It's gonna be dicey. And Pittsburgh, in a divisional game, they are gonna fight freaking tooth and nail, man.
Hmm.
And Tomlin has been very good within the division, and so I gotta trust his leadership, and I gotta take the Steelers here, even though it's on the road, man.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Bears at the Lions. I'm picking the Lions. I'm not reading any of these stats, not putting those out there in the universe. I'm picking the Lions to win.
All right. Um, yeah, I mean, these are teams on totally different trajectories this year. The Lions have been overperforming. The Bears have been way underperforming. Uh, I know Fields is coming back, and so maybe that has a little bit of like an unexpected element to this game. But I believe the Lions are going to be more dominant in the trenches and control this game. I think they're on a high coming off that win against the Chargers. I got to go Lions here, man.
Yeah. Next up, we have another team in the NFC North, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Green Bay Packers. I don't know how this is possible, but Joey Bosa has 67 career sacks. That is the third most career sacks sacked by a Charger since 1982 when sacks became an official statistic. Leslie O'Neal had 105 and a half, and Sean Phillips had 69 and a half. I thought it was weird that second and third are so low in the total career sacks list. I think the Chargers bounce back. It's a perfect get right game against. Well, it's a potential get right game for Jordan Love, and don't be surprised if Jordan Love actually looks good and you get back on the Jordan Love bandwagon after this week, because the Chargers' pass defense is a very favorable matchup for Love, and it's a very easy matchup for Love for him to get back on track. I think the Chargers are the better team of the two.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers this past week, the Chargers put together a good, complete game and still lost. I think they're going to come into this game pissed off about that.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to win. On my model, I'd had it as a close game, 21-17. But then again, my model also only had 41 points scored total in the Chargers Lions game this past week, which was obviously scored by one team in that game. So don't be surprised if it's higher scoring, and my model is just tanking it a little bit, but I think the Chargers win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Chargers here. I think both these teams are in desperation mode right now, and the Packers, I think, are fucked, just to be blatantly obvious. I think
Mm-hmm.
the Chargers still have like a tiny glimmer of hope, and they know they got to win this game to keep that hope alive. And when you look at the quarterback position, everybody, it's a quarterback driven league, blah, 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 blah. Herbert is the real deal. Jordan Love is not.
Mm-hmm.
I got to like defer to Herbert to give them the edge here. So I'm taking the Chargers, man. Plus, by the way, my model has this as a fucking 13-point win for the Chargers. So, but I will say the Chargers have underperformed my
Mm-hmm.
model like every freaking year. So it's kind of hard to give them that full 13 points. But I think they get the win either way.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals at the Houston Texans. I was surprised how close this was, because you look at these two teams and you would say Houston's so much. I'm sorry, how close my model has this, because when you look at the two teams, you would think Houston is so far ahead of Arizona, but Arizona is starting to look a little bit different with Kyler Murray. He
Yeah.
came back on fire this past week. I think Houston continues. I think CJ Stroud still has CJ Stroud continues his role he's been on this year. Is I don't know. Maybe could a rookie win MVP be a better question? And when you're having a year like this year, I think a better question of the week than what you chose. If you're having a year like this year in the league and how CJ Stroud's doing, if he continues it, he better be. If he continues what he's doing, he better be in the conversation based on what else is going on in the league this year.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, like I would have thought my model with Murray coming back would have made this a closer game, and it really still has it in the favor of Houston. It's a little bit choppy going down the heat map, but mostly green for Houston, and it has Houston winning by a touchdown in my model. And maybe part of that is because it's in Houston. Um, but there, honestly, James, there was a part of me that wanted to override this game because with Kyler Murray back, I'm like, man, he's just such a competitive quarterback. But Houston's on a roll, man, and I do not want to get in the way of Houston being on a roll, so I'm taking the Texans.
All right. Next, we have Tennessee at Jacksonville, and I have to look something up because I just saw I have a crazy stat noted,
Sure.
and I want to see.
Check it out, man.
Okay, so this year, Tennessee. How many touchdowns do you think Tennessee has away from home this year? Keep in mind they played 5 games away from home.
I will say 3.
Close. They have 2 touchdowns. Two touchdowns not at home this year. Both touchdowns away on the road were rushing touchdowns. They have not scored a passing touchdown yet this year
Not good.
away from home. Maybe the Titans score a touchdown at Jacksonville. My model has them scoring 17 points, but Jacksonville is a far better team than Tennessee is right now on paper and with the eye test. I have Jacksonville winning by at least a touchdown on my model, and I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Jacksonville winning the same way San Francisco beat them last week.
Uh-huh.
Like I could see Jacksonville going into this game being like, "What the fuck? We were an ascending team. We just got embarrassed. Now we got to put the hurt on somebody else just to kind of like get it off our backs." And so Tennessee, they're an easy candidate to take that kind of beating because they've got the rookie quarterback. You can stack the box against Derrick Henry, and their defense has had moments where they've actually looked really good, but their talent is just not there, so they're easily exposed. And so I'm taking the Jaguars here, man.
All right. Next, we have the Raiders at the Dolphins. I do not have the balls to pick this way. Miami has come. No, that was 2 weeks ago. Never mind. Um, I was thinking first. I like had it stuck in my head that Miami played in Germany last week, not 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Miami's coming off a bye.
Yeah, Miami's coming off a bye. That's right.
And it's in Miami.
It's
It'd be
in
really
Miami.
hard to take the Raiders, man. It'd be really hard.
The Raiders have the fourth worst run defense in the league, allowing 135.6 yards per game on the ground.
Yeah.
With how did you pronounce it? H-H-H-H-N?
Oh, I've heard him say a cane, even though I thought it
A
was Devon a chain. A cane,
cane,
the rookie running
whatever.
back.
Yeah. So when he plays, Miami averages 185 rushing yards per game.
Yeah, he's electric, man.
And he's listed as questionable.
Yep.
Um, he's questionable for the game. There's no way. I'm trying to talk myself into picking the Raiders for this game because I
Don't,
want the Raiders. I want the
don't.
Raiders to win, to beat Miami, but I can't do it. Like, it's
Don't.
too much is stacked up against the Raiders to
Yeah.
actually legitimately pick them.
They have a little bit of a good story going on right now with Antonio Pierce firing up the troops, and they've won 2 games. That's great. But they are going into Miami with a team coming off a bye that is clearly overpowering them. And it'd be so hard to go against Miami here, man. So hard. I got to
Mhm.
take the Dolphins, James. Like if you wanted to go against it, I would say take Arizona over Houston. Don't take Las Vegas over Miami, man.
I I want I want Miami to lose, and that's kind of where I was going. Next up, we have the Giants at the Commanders. I don't have much to say on this game. Like we just talked about this game what, like 2 weeks ago. Um,
Yeah, I mean the game
three
at New
weeks,
York was like a dud game, right? They
yeah.
score like no points in New York, but
It
now it's
was
in Washington. Sam Howell's on fire. New York doesn't have a quarterback.
mm, it was 14-7
Yeah.
in that game. In that game, Sam Howell was sacked. Wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Yeah, but
Six
Leonard Williams
times.
is gone now.
6 times. So at one point, he was on pace to set the NFL record for most sacks taken in a season, which is 97. At the end of October, Sam Howell had been sacked 40 times
Okay.
this year, but he's been sacked less lately. Um, and the difference is they changed their center and the line's bigger, and Sam Howell's gotten more experience. Um, Besides the 6 sacks in the Giants Commanders game, outside of that, they have 9 total sacks in the 9 other games that the Giants have played. They sack get besides
Yeah,
against the Commanders, they get a
they're
sack a game.
sucking. Yeah.
Defense is listless. Offense is um I
Ooh, you got Saquon Barkley. Whatever.
but but Saquon Barkley has gone now 5 straight weeks without a rushing
Yeah.
touchdown.
Oh, yeah, and he's making comments about his contract. It's like, dude, you're in the middle of the season. You're doing nothing. Don't
Mm-hmm.
talk about your contract. Talk about your performance, man.
Yeah, exactly. My model has Washington winning the game. It's a close game, but I think Washington's playing a lot better than they were in the previous matchup, which it was a month ago. But they're playing a lot better than they were in the New York matchup, and the Giants are playing a lot worse. So I'm going to stick with my model and go with Washington.
Yeah, I'm taking the Commanders, man. I don't see any hope for the Giants at this point in the season, and they're playing this game on the road. Washington, man, Washington's not having a great year either, right? But
Hmm.
um, I've heard a lot of the people calling for Rivera's head, saying, "Ah, it's enough. We got to get rid of him. We got to go, whatever." Um, I still believe Washington has talent on defense, and they have the pieces on offense with the offensive coordinator, and it's coming around. I mean, these last few weeks, we've seen it. They have firepower. The wins are going to be there when they play a team like the Giants. The wins aren't going to be there when they play a better team, but that's just how they are. Until they get another year or two down the road, they're not going to be able to beat those better teams. But right now, they can definitely beat the Giants at home. I'm taking Washington.
Then we have the Buccaneers at the 49ers. Interestingly, in this game, you have like the matchup or the key to this game is, well, first of all, I don't trust Baker Mayfield, but San Francisco, prior to like the last 3 games, they were of the better teams scoring in the red zone. The last 3 games, they scored a touchdown in the red zone only 40% of the time, but previous to that, they were a lot higher than that. While Tampa Bay has only allowed their, I don't have the percentage, but the Tampa Bay is the best team in the league for keeping teams out of the end zone once they get inside the 20.
So what are you saying? Jake Moody's going to fuck the 49ers and miss a field goal? Their third round kicker?
No, I don't. I trust Brock Purdy at quarterback and Kyle Shanahan. Okay, I always say, when in doubt, better coach, better quarterback, and that resides in San Francisco. Bulls. I don't trust Bulls. I don't trust Baker. I'm on San Francisco. My model has it as a 2-touchdown victory by San Francisco. San Francisco's 13-2 against the spread in their last 15 games as a home favorite, 10-2 in their last since the start of last season as a home favorite, and I think that trend continues.
Yeah, I know. I agree. And I mean, it's in San Francisco, and San Francisco's coming off a huge comeback win. They needed that comeback, from bye, not coming back in the game. But I think now they're going to play at home and basically reestablish, okay, coming off the bye, we're winning 2 games and our inertia is back on going to the playoffs. And when I look at my heat map, it's almost entirely green for San Francisco. The only spots where it's not are at the offensive line, which, to be honest, with the way Shanahan utilizes his guys in that zone blocking scheme, I would argue that it's better because he's better at using them the right way. And then the defensive back four, I give to Tampa Bay. And that I'll give to them because I do think they have a great secondary. But like you said, Todd Bowles, he's a defensive minded head coach, and he's really a very defensive minded guy. That's about it. Shanahan is a very well rounded head coach, and he's got great people on both sides of the ball and great coaching staff to support him. I got to go 49ers here, man.
Oh yeah, all right. A lot of what I want to talk about for the next game, I'm going to save for question of the week.
Sure.
So I'm just giving that out there before I talk about this game. It's the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills, who played Week 1, and the Jets somehow won, even though Aaron Rodgers played.
Got hurt like 4 plays in, yeah.
And I'm trying to cut. A lot of what I want to talk about is directly to question of the week. What I'm going to say on this game
Sure.
is from a gambling perspective, smart money would be on the Jets. The Bills are 0-6 against the spread. That's not possible. That's not possible either. And that's not possible either. My notes are so fucked up about this.
Okay.
I'm going to read my direct note to you and tell me where you find the flaw. The Bills are 0-6 against the spread in their past 5 games. 0-5 against the spread in the past 4 games as a favorite, and 0-4 against the spread in their past 3 games at home.
I don't know, dude. You tell me.
They're 0-6 in 5 games. 5. They're 0-5 in 4 games.
Oh, yeah.
They're 0-4 in
yeah.
3 games.
Okay.
I don't know what the fuck I was trying to write there, but that's just I'm on the
Yes.
Bills. I
Yes.
think the Bills are the
Thank you.
better team. The Josh Allen does kind of play down to the opponent, and they did lose week 1, but this is now in Buffalo,
Yeah.
and it is. I think the Bills win the game, but I think it's a close game. My model had it as a field goal victory for Buffalo.
Yeah. So my model has it as almost 7.5 points for Buffalo, and I just don't trust that not one bit. And yeah, we'll talk more about it in question of the week. But yeah, like you said, because it's in Buffalo, it's a little different than earlier in the year. And so I'm going to take the Bills just like you. But I also would not be surprised if the Jets somehow find a way to win because apparently they have their number and they do this every year, at least once or twice. So, yeah, so I'm on Buffalo for now.
Uh, Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, you had to say that
Um,
with an accent, the Los Angeles Rams.
I didn't do it on purpose. It just kind of happened.
Okay.
So my model has the Rams winning. And interestingly, on this, two things for this game. Number one is it's a 1 point spread, and the Rams have covered 6 straight meetings, including playoffs, against the Seahawks. So for a 1 point spread, that means the Rams have to win the game. Number two, for those fantasy people out there, this could be a good week to get your fantasy points from Darrell Henderson Jr. The Seahawks defense is allowing
Don't
a
do it.
173.7 rushing yards per game over the past 3 games, and they allow the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs this season.
And the Rams have a shitty ass offensive line. They don't run the ball for shit. They're a passing team. Don't fucking take that advice. That's all I'm
All,
saying.
all I said is if you're looking to get fantasy points from Darrell Henderson Jr.,
If you're
this would
desperate and you need a
this
running back, listen to
if
James.
if you're looking to get fantasy points from him, I'm not saying start him. I'm saying if you want to get fantasy points from him this season, this would be the only game you would have the
As
shot
your
chance of doing
flex,
it.
because you're desperate and you got guys on bye or injured, listen to James.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying go out, pick him up, and start him
Yeah,
this game.
yeah. Ride them from here on out. No,
Yeah,
just for
what
this
I'm saying
one
what
game.
I'm saying is if you're desperate and you want to get points from him in particular, this is the
No,
only week
it's
this
good, man.
season you have
Oh, it's good. I'm just
chance to
having
do it.
fun, James. I'm just having fun, man.
Now I'm on the Rams. I just think too much is stacked against Seattle in
Yeah,
how they're playing recently, and I think that assuming Stafford's back, the Rams can win the game.
yeah. So I'm reading Stafford is going to be back, and with Stafford back, I did not mark this in my model here or on the rankings here, James, but this is actually an override if Stafford plays. I'm still going to take Seattle because Seattle has outperformed my model regardless. But it's a 1.5 point spread in the Rams' favor if Stafford plays.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe Seattle's going to beat that, and so I'm taking the Seahawks here, man.
Next up, we have the Sunday night game, the Minnesota Vikings at the Denver Broncos. And this is actually going to be a change from what I sent you.
Okay.
So it's a primetime game.
Oh boy.
And my model and I found this, my model has an automatic deduction in value for Minnesota for
For
primetime
Cousins.
games because of Cousins' primetime record.
Okay.
I forgot to take that out because they haven't had a primetime game since his injury.
Okay, so you're taking the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings. I thought it was weird that my model had Denver winning by a touchdown. Uh, the Broncos. The Broncos rushing defense has been terrible this year. Um, Vikings, who first of all have a scrambling quarterback in Dobbs who can run the ball. They also have decent. They also do generally decent in the rushing game because of how their receivers and how the receivers open up the box for them. Uh, Apparently, Russell Wilson has had 5 games with 2 or more touchdowns and no interceptions this season, which is amazing compared to last year. If he has a 6th game, he would become only the 2nd Bronco to do that in the same season, which is the only other one to do it was Peyton Manning, who did it in 2012, 2013, and 2014.
Okay.
Apparently, this is Dobbs, which it makes sense because he's a quarterback and starting quarterbacks don't change teams like that. He became the first player in league history to record at least 400 passing yards, 100 rushing yards, and no interceptions in his first 2 games with a new team. I'm sorry. I just want to give props to Dobbs. Like Dobbs,
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's
I
good.
fucking love Josh Dobbs.
Yeah,
Like he's
he's a hero story.
he's a hero story. Did you heard about what was it when he was in Arizona? He went to go get like his cousin or something. He went to the team store to get his cousin a Josh Dobbs jersey, and it wasn't available.
Custom jersey.
No, they wouldn't even let him do a custom jersey for it or anything.
Yeah, that sucks, man. No, and I had honestly my rating on him from lineups was that he was a 67. And I thought, okay, when he got traded from Cleveland to Arizona, I'm like, ah, man, it's probably not going to work out. But dude, he's been a great fucking story. But here's what I will tell you, James. You flipped. I am also flipping in this game, so we still have some action here. I'm taking the Broncos. Um, when I made my picks, I did some of these off the cuff. And when I look at my model, it actually has Denver winning right now by 1.3 points. And so, with it being in Denver and with them having a nice little string of wins, I'm going to take Denver here, man.
Okay.
And it's good for business for us to have a little action.
That's good for me when you pick. No, right. I'm not going to talk smack because if I start to
When
talk smack,
you're 12 games down, yes.
yeah. I Wait, I'm only 12 games down? I
After
thought I was.
last night, right?
Ah, yeah. I forgot about last night. I forgot to start off with last night. Yeah, I was on Baltimore. You were on Cincinnati last night. So I started up. I I started
Yeah,
out
yeah,
with a
yeah.
win.
Burrow
You
was
started out.
healthy.
Yeah. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm excited for that game. Honestly, I really am. Both these teams are kind of like off from where they were last year, but I'm still very excited for this game.
All right. This is the 9th time that the Super Bowl matchup from a prior season, the teams played the following NFL season. In such games, the defending Super Bowl champion is 6-2. Just putting that out there.
Put it out there.
Last 2 years, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are both top 10 in the NFL in passing touchdowns. Mahomes has thrown 58, and Hurts has, I didn't note it. Apparently didn't note it, but yeah. That note went nowhere. Coming off the bye, Andy Reid is 21-3 outright.
Yeah, you're right. He's really good off the bye. I forgot about that.
15-9 against the spread. With the Chiefs, he is 8-2 outright. So that gives hope to Philadelphia because 2 of his 3 losses coming off a bye are with the Chiefs. The Eagles have a shot in this game, but I don't think that they pull it off. My model has Kansas City winning 29-24, and I'm going to stick with my model on it. I'm only going to override my model once this week with the Minnesota game. Outside of that, I'm sticking with my model. I have Kansas City.
Okay. Well, yeah. So 29-24. So you got it as a 5-point spread. My model actually has it
33-24.
Oh, 33-24.
I have it by 9.
Oh, I thought you said 29-24. Okay. All right. Well, that's fine because my model has Kansas City winning by 4.5. But I'm overriding it. I'm taking Philly. This is another one I didn't mark as an override, but when I look at my heat map, it's in favor of Kansas City most of the way down, but I'm talking like within such a razor thin margin on offense. And on defense, it's like back and forth by the position groups. And I honestly think that Philly on offense is playing better than Kansas City. And so if I'm just kind of like manually adjusting this on the fly, I got to take Philadelphia, man. And so I know the game's in Kansas City, which makes it kind of an uphill battle, but still, I think the Eagles are going to have a chip on their shoulders because they did lose that Super Bowl. And I'm just taking Philly, dude. I'm doing it.
Yeah, and like I'll give you that. I that's what I thought going in too, but you would think that the
stats are the other way, yeah.
Yeah, you would think it would be the other way, but with the team coming in that lost the Super Bowl with a chip on their shoulder, but it's oddly it's not. I mean, it's a small sample size, so we will see. And then we have the Thanksgiving game days, which we're doing Wednesday, so we'll save those for next week.
Yeah, if you want to save them, we can save them, right? We're talking Wednesday.
Yeah, we're talking Wednesday next week, so let's save the Thursday games for next week.
Okay.
And we can move on to question of the week.
Sure we can. All right, let me scroll down here, James. So for question of the week, we talked earlier about the Buffalo Bills firing offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. I want to know, do you think they wrongfully terminated him after the loss to Denver? And I don't mean wrongfully in a way like an employment law kind of way. You know, like I'm not talking that like an HR thing. I'm talking like a
do you think that they cast
way.
the blame on him
Cast blame on him? Was it justified, or did they make him the scapegoat for their shitty season, is what I mean. And in my opinion, they made him the shitty scapegoat here for their mediocre record. When you look at the facts, to me, it's very simple. They have a very high powered offense. Yeah, they don't run the ball often, but part of that is because they've got Josh Allen, who's a dual threat quarterback that runs for them, and they run the offense through him. And when you look at his stats and what they do offensively, he is like, what do they say? Like through his first like X seasons, he's number 2 in touchdowns. Okay, that's great, but he's also number fucking 1 in turnovers. And I don't put that on the offensive coordinator. I put that on the quarterback. That's decision making by the quarterback. Josh Allen's a turnover machine. Okay, that's one part of it. That's just one part of it. The second part of it is that when you look at their defense, James, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. They've got 5 fucking starters out right now. 3 of them, I think, are out for the year. It's like, dude, well, I know 2 of them are out for the year, Milano and Tre'Davious White, and I think they have a defensive lineman out for at least a couple more games. You can't put that on Ken Dorsey, okay? You can't put Josh Allen's turnovers on Ken Dorsey, and you can't put their defensive struggles on Ken Dorsey. So when you're Sean McDermott, what are you doing here, man? You're grasping for fucking straws or something? Like, seriously? I don't know, dude. I thought Dorsey, I don't know. I liked him. I think it was a petty move to get rid of him. Just my opinion, man.
Okay, this Buffalo Bills season started to derail when Leslie Frazier stepped away from the team. I mean, let's rephrase it. When they fired Leslie Frazier,
was that a sign that there were bigger issues in the background?
No, they scapegoated Leslie Frazier for like not
For not
advancing,
getting a Super Bowl the last couple of years.
The last couple of years. McDermott supposedly a defensive coach. Blah blah blah. This offense is the same offense that was ran last year when Daboll wasn't there and Dorsey was the offensive coordinator. It's the same offense that was run under Daboll 2 years ago. So, okay, here are the stats that I wanted to say when we were talking about the game. So, I have to find one stat. Okay. So they had their turnover ratio on the season is -3.
Oh, yeah, they're fucking themselves, man.
They have the second most turnovers, not just Josh Allen, the second most turnovers in the league at 18. They have also they have failed to win the turnover battle their last 6 games.
Yeah.
The only time they haven't gone 7 straight games without winning the turnover battle since 2003 when, let me see. Oh, they went 6-10 that year. The offense did not change. The defense is not doing as good. They lost some key pieces from the previous defense. They got rid of Leslie Frazier.
Yeah.
They total points. Their point differential this year is. I just lost it. Damn it. Let me get back to it.
No, you're right. On defense, I mean, you lose Leslie Frazier. You have all those guys out. I mean, man, there's just so many things going on.
Their point differential this season is +78.
Yeah.
They have the fourth highest point differential in the league. First is behind Baltimore, who's at 127. Dallas, who's at 104, and San Francisco, who's at 109. They've scored 262 points this season, which feels to me on par.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking almost 27 points a game. Did they
Yeah,
have a bye?
yeah. They played 10 games.
Yeah, so
So
almost
so
27 points a game.
20. Let's just call this 26.2, and last year in 17 games they scored 26.7 through the season. It's the same scoring.
Yep. Yeah, they made Dorsey the fall guy for other, existential problems on the team.
So last year when they were 13-3, they allowed 16.8 points per game. So far this year, last year all season they allowed 286 yards or points.
Yeah.
This season they've already allowed 184.
Yeah, but hey, you can't fire yourself when you're the head coach, right? So you got to fire somebody else. But the problem is McDermott shouldn't be firing anybody. He should just be saying, "Hey, we're facing a lot of adversity. We have a lot of injuries. We have a lot of issues at play. We're going to fight through it. We're going to get through it." Instead, he's fucking throwing the wrong fucking guy under the bus, man.
Oh, wait, actually, I take that back because they only played 16 games last year, not 17.
Oh
So
yeah,
they
because of
did
the
take
yeah,
a little
yeah.
they did take a little dip in points per game this year because the last year was 28.4, not 26.7 because I just looked
Sure,
and I was like,
yeah,
wait, it's
because
13-3.
okay, well, still pretty goddamn high.
And 17 they allowed 17 points per game,
In
17.8.
but James, remember, man, Josh Allen is leading the league in turnovers. That is not on Ken Dorsey.
The team is fucking damn near leading the league in turnovers.
Yeah, that's not on Ken Dorsey.
It's you can't blame. No, I'm saying all the shit. Like the team is basically the same,
Yeah,
and despite
yeah,
leading the league in turn or being second in turnovers, despite all the turnovers Josh Allen is having, the despite all this, they're not winning this year because Josh Allen always has the turnover problem.
yep,
He's always had this
yep,
turnover problem. He never got rid of it. It's just the defense was doing good enough to overcome it.
yeah,
This year the defense is not overcoming it. And because the defense isn't overcoming it, the team is losing. How the
yeah.
fuck is the defense not overcoming the not playing like they did in the past? How the fuck
Well,
is that the offensive coordinator's fault?
yeah, exactly,
How is the
exactly,
defense the offensive
exactly,
coordinator's fault? I'm just
exactly.
curious.
Yeah, I'm glad you and I are on the same page. They fucking hosed him.
Hmm.
I hope he gets a job somewhere else because that's fucking garbage, dude. All right, enough said. Enough said. It's good for you and I to be on the same page. All right, man. That's all I had for tonight, James. Like, you got any closing thoughts or anything, man?
I I don't think so. Besides the simple fact that you can't blame the offensive guy for the defensive issues. You
Yes,
blame the defensive guy. Oh
which
wait,
is
that's
their
the head
head
coach.
coach. Which is
Yeah.
their head coach.
2 years ago they should have fired his ass after the debacle with the 13 seconds.
Oh, well, yeah, that sucked. I mean, I like McDermott, man, but like, just be more graceful about it and just be like, look, we're facing adversity. We lost guys in free agency. We now have lost more starters with injury. We're having problems on defense. We're pulling it together, and as the season goes on, it'll get better. But no, you, like you said, fired the wrong guy. Fired the
Yeah.
wrong guy just to like divert the attention. Oh, don't look at me. Look at him. Like,
Hmm.
dude, fuck you. You're the leader, dude. It was just such a garbage move, man. Such a garbage
So,
move.
so what are they going to do this week when they lose to the fucking Jets?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, if they
and
lose to the Jets this week. Oh,
sorry,
oh.
they lose to to the Jets. They only score they score the same amount of points as they have been. Like,
Yeah.
28 points. They
Yeah.
score 28 points. They allow 30 points and
All right.
have like 17 turnovers. What the fuck is McDermott going to say then? It was like, oh, we need it's the interim offensive
Yeah.
coordinator.
No, I think that this is going to be a really good session for the off season, which is going to be who should be the head coach for the Buffalo Bills for next season. And
Yeah,
and I mean they're probably not going to fire him because they love McDermott, all right? But honestly, we should have a fucking show and brainstorm that because I could think of some guys, man. Kellen Moore, maybe, like some people that, like, hey, if you're gonna go all in on the offense, well, then let's talk about what you could be doing here, man, because I think they got some options. But no, they're farther out from contention than they should be at this point, to be honest.
yeah, they are. Like I said it kind of at the beginning of the year that it's the
It's
window's
falling apart.
closed.
It's falling apart. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, buddy, it's been good. For anybody who's watching, we hope you like the show. We're going to do it again next week. It'll be on Wednesday. And James, like always, man, yeah, it was cool. I'll catch you later, man.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.